Early anticipation of being back in Europe, the buzz, the vibe is squashed in 90 minutes of football. Aston Villa, welcome back to European football. Oh my days, what have we just watched there? You know me, Villa fans, 100% honest on a match reaction, reacting to the game that we have just witnessed. It was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I can't believe what I was watching at times. In the first half, in the second half, I was just flabbergasted the way we kept giving the ball away. There was no cohesion. There was loose passes everywhere. It wasn't a loose pass by the odd player. We'd make a loose pass and we'd make a pass. The player receiving the ball would then make a loose touch. We couldn't really string more than 5 passes in a sequence together because you saw that right through that game. There was no dominance from Villa at any point, really. There was never no territorial advantage that had us camped in their half at any given time. It was just feeding off scraps. And I've got to say, Legia Warsaw, what a performance they put in, because they were fantastic. They were first to everything. They were the better team through the whole of that game. And Aston Villa was simply second best. The Legia Warsaw press was brilliant. They were in our faces through the whole game. And we just couldn't live with them, really. We couldn't live with them on transition. We couldn't live with them on the counter. Defensively, we were absolutely woeful defending through the whole of that game as well. So, we made changes, and before the game kicked off, I liked the team. I think the majority of people on social media were sort of saying it was a good side. Longley, Duran, Bailey, Chambers, and Tielemans came in. And I can understand the changes because we are trying to do well in the Premier League. The priority is still the Premier League. Chelsea on Sunday is the priority. So to rest players, I think, was the right thing to do, in my opinion. I think players need a rest. The players that played on the weekend that started that game cannot play over 50 odd games this season. We are going to have to see some rotation in there. So for me, that was fine. But the performances of some of those players that came into the side wasn't good enough. And I think that was part of the problem. So I'll try and break through the game and give my thoughts on certain things that happened in the game. I'd love you to get your thoughts in the comment section down below. But yet again, after the 3rd minute, we are a goal down, just like Liverpool. The one thing that you do not want to do in a hostile environment, in an away European game, is be 1-0 down within the first 5 minutes. You don't want that to happen anywhere that you go. But it happened again. The defending was it was a disaster, an absolute disaster. Luca Dean had no idea that Woslek was behind him on his shoulder. It was poor defending. It was from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, and it was just really, really poor defending from Aston Villa. For Luca Dean not to know that player's on his shoulder. I told you about Woslek in the predicted lineup, that he's a wing-back that likes to get forward, and it was just so sloppy defending. It was just ridiculous. Couple of minutes later, we go down the other end of the pitch and we score and we restore to a 1-1 scoreline. A brilliant shot from Zaniolo and a great header from Duran. It's a fantastic header from Duran. It's great awareness. It's a striker's finish. It's a striker's instinct to follow the shot up. And I think fantastic for Duran, absolutely buzzing for him. It was a really good finish. I think Zaniolo started the first half pretty well as well, but I was so happy for Duran to get another goal, and he did look pretty lively, Duran. Again, we just couldn't live with the Legia Warsaw press. Chambers was at sixes and sevens for the majority of the time he was on the pitch. He was really being pressured, and he looked quite laboured on the ball. Bailey took a touch away from one of their players. Could have been a red, dangerous, reckless challenge on the yellow. He got a yellow for it, and I felt like at that point Zaniolo was having quite a decent game. He was sort of allowing the ball to sort of run and turn, and he was doing really well, Zaniolo. And then they scored again, and it was a 3v3. I thought it looked offside. Woslek with the assist. The fullbacks were exposed. Chambers lost his man, and it was similar to the first goal where Luca Dean lost his man, Chambers lost his man, and their player was just in acres of space to score that goal. And it was just one of them where you're thinking, we've got back in the game. Villa are going to now go on and insert their authority on the game, and then we're behind again, and we've got it all to do again. And then we just started to look very, very loose. There was no foothold. The shape of the team wasn't very good. The midfield was just being exposed. Consa lost the ball. We could have been 3-1 down, and he had to make this recovery. But the big thing that I've got written down here after that first half is no midfield. Kamara and Tielemans completely bypassed, defence exposed, and that was a massive problem all through that game. The midfield, there was not one of those players on that double pivot that was sort of defending and supporting that back line. It was just like we were playing in phases, and it really felt like, to me, it was a look back towards that Liverpool game, that the defence and the midfield was just, there was no cohesion, there was no protection. We were too easy to play through. We were too easy to have players that were breaking through our lines, picking up space, turning at us and just facing us, and there was runners galore. And that was a big, big worry for me in that first half. And it's something that we've seen already this season. Start the second half, more bad defending. Consa sort of on a 1v1. And I was, when this goal was happening, I was just saying, why is nobody getting back and putting in a challenge? The whole defence backs off, and Mookie just puts it in the back of the net, and it's 3-1. And Emery was absolutely livid on the bench. If any of you've seen it, he's fuming, he's doing this, his arms are going, he can't believe what's happening. And it was just really bad, to be fair. We then bring on Luis, Watkins and Diaby, which is something that we don't want to be doing. If you've made all those changes at the start of the game, we really want to rest them, keep them recovered for the weekend, but we're having to come back, chase the game. It was just poor. It was just poor all over it. There was just mistakes, Longley dwelling on the ball, and then come the end of the game, we had a bit of a spell with Ramsey's chance, Diaby's chance. Potentially we should have had a penalty in the first half. Duran had that sort of swivel turn, but I'm just disappointed, Villa fans. I'm just really disappointed with the performance and the way we've played. And I can understand making changes because we can't play all these players all season. It's down to the players at times, the players that are coming in, to take responsibility and have a really good game. And I just think Chambers was so bad. It was unbelievable. Luca Dean defensively was very, very bad. To be fair, I've missed off the Luca Dean goal. A really nice finish, slightly deflected. But it's the defending. It's just the defending from Luca Dean. Not tracking your runners, knowing that there's wing backs, looking over your shoulder, allowing runners to run off you. The double pivot just not looking solid. The midfield just no cohesion. The shining light for me is Duran, because he's shown again that he's a proper striker. He's a proper striker that will be in the right areas at the right time and can put stuff away. If we have a look at Sofa scores sort of rating of our players. You've got, I mean, I have no idea how that's a 7.1, but you've got Kamara 6.2, Konsa 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. Yeah, I think they've been a bit. I know it's based on stats here and what they're doing with the ball, but I think in football, I think sometimes we can get blindsided by the stats, and I think sometimes the biggest thing in football is the eye test, and I think the eye test for me weren't great. Villa fans, I'm very very big on the eye test and what you see. So yeah, it's not great ratings there. We had 60% possession, 19 shots, 6 on target, 3 corners. Passing, we did 494, 88% passing accuracy. Let's have a look how the other team did in our group. I think Alkmaar were 3-0 up at half time, and I think they ended up losing that game. So let's just have a quick look. Where are we going? Yeah, so Mostar came back from 3-0 down to win 4-3. So, yes, not great Villa fans, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear what you made of it. But for me, very very disappointed with the way we played. For our first game back in Europe, wasn't good. Wasn't good. And I'm just honest with you here now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna paper over any type of excuse. If anybody had anything positive apart from Duran to say in that game, then I'd love to hear it. But another game where you're going into it off the back of a decent result, and you're thinking, right, let's kick on now. Let's utilize this squad. I was watching the build up, and they're talking about the squad. They're talking about the players that we've got. They just didn't deliver, did they? Flattered to deceive. That some of these players looked off it, and I imagine they would look off it if they've not been playing. But we're about squad competition now. We're not about bringing in players that are just there to just have a knockabout on the weekend when their chance is here. It's about taking your opportunity and trying to get into this side. So just very, very disappointed, Villa fans, because I was expecting a lot more from us. And yes, I don't have to make an excuse and say we were away, it's in a tough place and etc. Because I've spoke to you on 2 episodes this week about how Legia Warsaw play, where are their threats, how do they play. I was fully aware that it was going to be a difficult game, but it's just the manner in which we've gone out on that pitch today and not really shown what we're all about, and we've just been second best. And for a side that are trying to take this competition very, very seriously, it's a massive wake-up call. And what I don't want this season to become is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Good performance at the weekend, poor performance in Europe. What we're going to do at the weekend now against Chelsea, what we're going to do against Everton at home in the Cup next week. So we've really got to start to build some consistency, and certain players have got to come in and have got to perform. And we've just got to look a lot better than that, really, because, in my opinion, it's just not good. It just was not good enough. So, bit of a negative one for me, but it has to be said. I'm not going to come on here and just try and paper over and pick a positive, because we've got to just, yeah, do you know what I mean? If it's bad, it's got to be said. So, really disappointed, and just got to be better. Got to be better, ain't we? So, Villa fans, let me know your thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts. Drop a like on this episode and subscribe if you are new. Up the Villa.